On the other hand, creating what it is that you do want, we are very wired to move mountains, to create what we desire. We save money, we build businesses, we go to all kinds of lengths to create what comes into our mind. And when we get there, we aren't inclined to destroy what we've created and celebrating it. Weight loss is a great way of looking at people. They go on a diet fueled by a desire to lose weight. You exert yourself. Maybe you get to a healthy weight. Because you were fueled by your desire to lose weight, you're now out of gas. There's no more weight to lose. So we have pizza and ice cream. We celebrate, we oscillate back to where we began, destroying what we created. The same exact behavior, we've experimented with this in our practices. I will now go on a diet to create health. Same exact activity, same exertion, but the orientation is different. I get to what I thought was a healthy weight when I started this exercise, and because I'm creating and not avoiding, the horizon moves forward. I lost 40 pounds. Now I think, health looks 20 more pounds thinner. Now health looks like I can run a mile in under 8 minutes. Now health looks like I'm a vegan. We're designed to continue the process and not celebrate by destroying our creation. And so the first thing you need to do is start to think about health through the creative lens and not through the fear lens, which is it's a simple thing to say, a very hard thing to accomplish. The second belief and behavior. This is a huge thing. We are conditioned, as are doctors, as is our payer system, to regard the symptom as the problem. The fact of the matter is the symptom of disease and its underlying cause are almost never the same thing. The symptom is a messenger, nothing more. Not an injury. An injury, I get shot, I need to heal that. But a disease process. The symptom is the messenger carrying a message of an underlying cause. If you rush to shoot the messenger before you interpret the message, it is a recipe for perpetual dependence on drugs and the healthcare system, and a recipe for extraordinary ongoing expense. We must recondition ourselves to regard symptoms as messengers. Now, I want to share with you an illustration of this point that will not only, I hope, drive home the point, but also show you how we engineer chronic conditions in the United States, and we engineer a dependency on particularly pharmaceuticals. So, a premenopausal woman, we see this persona all the time. A premenopausal woman has depression, anxiety, complains of headaches, kind of a mental haze, and feeling tired all the time. She doesn't talk much about the fact that she's constipated and bloating. Does anyone know anyone like this? Seriously.
Was anyone that person?
Okay. So, this is a very common persona that comes through. So this is something that if taken to the extreme, can be a life-ruining constellation of problems. Okay? So, the way that we treat this in our symptom suppression system is we will treat depression and anxiety with a drug like Zoloft or Prozac or something, the side effects of which are low energy and sleep problems. We treat the headaches with some other drug. The side effects tend to be constipation and stomach upset. We may treat the fatigue and mental fogginess with a stimulant like a Concerta or an Adderall, the side effects of which are sleep problems and headaches. You can see the Pharmageddon swirling about here. There's one thing that really solves one problem and exacerbates another. The constipation and bloating is something that in our healthcare system tends to be resolved by some Metamucil, I guess. We don't really have a magic bullet for that one, and it doesn't tend to come up a lot because no one likes to talk about it. So this is the way this woman is being dealt with, and the woman is increasingly at her wit's end. Now, let's pretend that we looked at these symptoms as clues instead of the problems themselves. What is the problem here? The problem with this woman is we clear our broken down hormones out of our digestive tract. Constipation over a long period of time in a premenopausal woman causes the backup of a lot of broken down estrogen, which is then reabsorbed into her system, shooting her estrogen levels high, creating headaches, anxiety, and depression. The side effects of the medication for the symptoms only exacerbate the problem. And so this woman's going to be on medications for the rest of her life and never actually feel good. Why? Because we're treating the effect and not the cause. Who would think that a problem in your stomach would produce what appears to be a problem in your brain? In fact, this concept of one cause and many effects is something that we all need to be seriously aware of. And the mother of all underlying causes lives in our digestive system, in our gut. Our gut is responsible for 80% of our immune system, a good deal of our hormone production, and it is the channel through which our entire body is fed. So gut problems can result in depression, anxiety, ADD, headaches, asthma, eczema, acne, allergies, arthritis, fatigue, and autoimmune conditions. Arthritis, you wouldn't think it, because in a culture where the symptom is the problem, many people with gut issues don't actually have stomach aches or go to the bathroom all the time. Now, in this particular case, constipation was an issue. So, another problem exists, which is one diagnosis, many causes. We invented diagnoses. We invented the idea of dementia or Alzheimer's. The fact of the matter is, and in light of today's science, in the bucket of dementia falls a variety of different causes. It's not one thing. In the bucket of breast cancer falls a variety of different genetic mutations and cancer types, which is why one person can do wonderfully on a treatment, the same person with seemingly the same thing does horrible on the exact same treatment. They're not, this is a human invention, the diagnosis inventions. And we have to understand that as we interpret our own health. As I said, the gut is the new frontier, I suspect, of where health will take us. And the cool thing about the gut, you could do a whole talk on the gut, but the cool thing about it is, this is an area where as you fix it, unlike cardiovascular, it's like, oh, okay, my blood pressure's down. I still feel the same. My cholesterol's different. I still feel the same. With the gut, as your gut gets healthier, your whole body feels better. It's an incredibly rewarding thing to nurture and cultivate. So this is a huge, huge belief that we have to shift. Here's a quick one. Once upon a time, not too long ago, we kind of thought our health was etched into our genetic code. And it was kind of the hand we're dealt. And so whatever goes wrong with me, it's sort of predestined. We had sort of a horse breeder's mentality about our health. Today, and for not that long of a time, we actually understand that the way our genetics work, literally 80% of our health flows from the lifestyle decisions that we make. Specifically, what do we eat? How do we sleep? Do we exercise or not? And how do we manage stress? Seem to be basically the four pillars on which our health really rests. And not just a little of it, 80% of it. Why? Because in fact, what we now understand about genetics is that your DNA is very much the same as as the hardware of your computer. The information that you feed it through food, exercise, stress management, and sleep is very much like the software. So two identical twins, we have two in the room. Now, despite the fact that Diamond Dave Saunders and William Saunders actually live in the same town, work in the same company, are probably exposed to much the same pressures, if you look at them, they kind of still look identical today. As you get to know them, you can tell the difference. But generally speaking, as twins age, they start looking more and more different. Yet their DNA is identical. How could this be? Well, the software starts to change. One's exposed to stress and toxic lifestyle, the other lives on an island and eats coconuts or whatever, and so they wind up Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not quite as extreme, but the point is that we literally have the ability through simple decisions to reprogram our own genetics to create or destroy health. And unfortunately, by ignorance of that fact, we tend to do more destroying than we do creating. And so it's important to start to think about health as a skill and not just something that strikes you like lightning and non-sickness. It's not something to be dealt with passively. It's a competency. So this is a picture of the waiting room. We have a practice in Tampa, Florida that we just remodeled. This is the waiting room of the practice, complete with a large teaching kitchen. Because it turns out that what we eat is far more important than the medications that we take. There's almost no amount of overexertion that we can put into learning how to eat to sustain and grow our health. And the doctors and practices of the future, I suspect, in light of current science, will have to begin to evolve to contemplate the fact that food literally is medicine, as is exercise and sleep and managing stress, but especially food. So, another belief. We use doctors today as body repair shops. We go in when something's wrong and we hope to get it fixed as quickly as we possibly can. In the future, and to create and sustain health, not only we, but our doctors need to change the way we regard this relationship. It's not something that we only engage in when something's wrong. It is doctor as a coach. And this is tough for the doctor. The doctor needs to be humble enough to say, I am an expert in medicine, you are an expert in you. Let's work together to create some health. And getting doctors to actually do it, it's easy to say, hard to do. It's a radical cultural shift for physicians, and it's a completely different way of thinking about physician relationships for consumers. But in order to create and sustain health, it's kind of, I mean, managing money is complex. Managing health is insanely complex and requires a great deal of education. And we can kind of meander about and throw some money at the vitamin shop and I'll get a massage and, and go to the yoga place or whatever. But, consumers haven't proven to be particularly effective asset managers when it comes to their own health, because you really do need the guidance of people with an extraordinary amount of education to navigate what is a very complicated system. And so the doctor as a coach. Now, this is the last one. Pretty good. We must break the spell that we are under as it pertains to health insurance and what health insurance really is. So most of us in the room probably have three types of insurance. We have auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and health insurance. Here's what the spell looks like. It was poked fun at in a cartoon in some thing that I saw. This says, the doctor and patient are talking. The doctor says, I can operate, or you can go on a strict diet. The patient says, you better operate. The doctor says, are you sure? The patient says, my insurance doesn't cover a strict diet. We have allowed ourselves to be completely brainwashed and hypnotized by what health insurance is or isn't. The fact of the matter is, in the other two dimensions of our insured life, owning a home, owning a car, we understand very clearly what insurance is for. We have bought it as a financial arrangement to protect us from financial ruin in the unlikely event of something, like a house fire, a horrible car wreck, whatever. Well, in health, horrible things happen. You get hit by a car, you get a horrible disease, and these are the things that bankrupt people. So it's not that insurance is irrelevant in health, but what would your car or your house look like if you believed that the only things you needed to do to it were the things that your insurance valued and would pay for? Well, they would probably look a lot like this. You'd never change your tires. You'd never put oil in the car. You'd never paint your house, clean your gutters. You'd never do anything preventively. You'd never do anything to make it better. You would only be waiting for